this is when the charisma gets turned on. Okay? Hello and welcome to Start the Beat with Sykes. My name is Sykes and this is my motherfucking podcast. I want to thank you all for being here. Thank you all for being with me for 5 years of talking to people about music and life and love and the pursuit of happiness and all of those things. Yeah. Feel free to make yourselves at home, and as always, there's beer and soda in the fridge or at the bar. Make some noise for Brillo Box. So yeah, here we are. 5 fucking years. 200-something episodes. Hundreds upon hundreds of hours of conversations. I've talked with a lot of people. And I just want to let you all know that I'm still figuring it out. I haven't quite figured it all out yet. And I don't even know if that's the point. I think if you stop learning, right, what's the point of living another day if you're not learning every day? I think. I haven't given it much thought. I thought about it. I think I'm correct. So today is a special day. I have 5 guests with me. 4 guests with me. 5 including my better half up here. And I'm going to start off today bringing up my first guest. My first guest is somebody that I've known for more than half of my life. A large part of the reason why I got involved in music was because of this person. He was one of the first people I knew who was in a band that played shows that was like, oh, like you can do this? You know what I mean? And I think it's really cool that me and him are still friends. We've played in bands together and all those things. And make some noise for my good pal, Mario. Why don't you sit right here, friend? This is your mic.
Good evening. Good evening. What's up, everybody? How's it going?
Yeah, like I said, this is Mario. We played in a band called Butter together. It was our first band.
It was our first band, yeah.
It was one of the first times that I recorded music was with Butter.
Yeah. It was, when we're 18, 19, and there's, I had a guitar and you had recording equipment. It was just a matter of like, okay, well, let's just have some fun and wicked sense of humor approaching it, Yeah,
I figured out a lot of stuff with this dude. We've had maybe like a dozen different bands throughout the course of our lives together. Yeah. I mean, most of them weren't serious.
Yeah. It was more to entertain ourselves and our friends. It was like, oh, they're going to be here in 2 hours. Let's create a band. And we would record something and then we would play it for them. And then they're like, what is this called? And we were like, oh God, we had Jungle Gym.
My favorite was we got a bunch of stuff and just broke it in the basement. And we called it Beneath the Tub.
Oh, yeah. We recorded that, and then we recorded a screaming track and some vocal track. And then I was like, we played it all out, and it just sounded like a bunch of noise. I'm like, hey, why don't we just have it in complete reverse? So you inverted the track, and it was just in reverse. It was just, I don't know. Like nowadays, you could call that like Author and Punisher or something. That's pretty much what it was, guys. I mean,
yeah,
that's all you have to do is just break some shit and make noise.
Yeah, and then put it in rhythm, and it works.
No, you don't even need that. Just break some shit. Just break some shit and make some noise and hope for the best. And, someone will dig it.
Yeah. So Mario's going to be my little co-host today. For those of you that, aren't familiar with him at all, he does a series himself called The Special Sessions. You want to talk about that real quick?
Yeah, why not? Yeah, sure. Special Sessions Live is a live talk show that I started about a year ago, like last summer, I think was the first episode. And we based it out of Black Forge Coffee House. Woo! See, I even wear my colors, homie. Yeah. Yeah, and it's turned into something completely different than I thought it would be, and from doing podcasts and doing interviews and conversations that things are going to turn into what they turn into. So I've just been kind of like, okay, well, I love the venue, I love the people I'm working with, and if we get the guests to show up, we'll see what they let out, and it's gone some pretty interesting places,
I think the interesting thing about me and Mario too is like even from those beginning days, talking about breaking shit in the basement and playing it for our friends. Like most of the time, it felt like a lot of the creative stuff we were doing was just because we wanted an excuse to hang out with everybody.
Right.
It was never like,
Yeah.
oh, we want to be like artists. It was just like we want an excuse to hang out with friends that isn't like getting fucked up and stuff like that.
Yeah,
it's like that, we really weren't ever into that stuff.
No. It was like, okay, Friday night, let's just make an album.
Yeah, pretty much. That's like,
we would go to concerts together. It was a pretty cool time in music, the early 2000s, because you had a lot of hardcore was turning very noisy, and we bought all the Bjork DVDs they released, and we were into Dillinger Escape Plan at their like peak of insanity, and we just kind of fed off of that, all sober, and kind of like if like Ian MacKaye and them were like, and Henry Rollins were like Ren and Stimpy characters instead of kind of intellectual white dudes. We were just Ren and Stimpy characters, just entertaining ourselves, and that's it. Like,
that's the best explanation of us I've ever heard.
Why not? Fuck it, I'm here. Right?
But but like, even like moving forward into now with what I do with the podcast and what Mario does with special sessions, I think community is a big part of what we do, in not only the things that we do, but highlighting all of the hard work that our friends and even people that we don't know do in the city.
Right. I mean, it's I don't want to sound cliche and kind of kumbaya, but there are some interesting people we have around us who do shit, and it's good to give them a voice, because I mean, we have a good comedy scene going on now that keeps getting bigger and bigger, and is way better off that I left it. And that's a joke. See, I can still do those. But yeah, fuck it. It's good to give somebody a voice and make things interesting. And
also, as you get older, it's really, really hard to make friends. I think that's been my good thing with the podcast is like, hey, like, you want to come over to my house and get to know each other with some microphones and a camera in your face? Okay. See you next Sunday.
Yeah.
And that's how it happens.
For me, it's just like, I really want to be your friend. I really like you, but I really don't have the time, bro. And I go to bed at like 8:30. So let's get this shit done, while we can. That's that. That's my hang up. Sorry.
So I'm going to bring up my first guest of the evening, someone who has already been mentioned in one way or another. She is the founder, owner, whatever you want to call it, of a little place called Black Forge Coffee House. Please make some noise for my good friend, Ashley Corts. Everybody's going to get the same theme song because I only have one. Sit next to Mario. You're friends,
Have
right?
a seat. Yes. What up?
Hello.
Hi, Ashley.
Hi, bud. How are ya?
Good. So if you haven't figured it out yet, the way I'm doing this is I'm just going to bring people up in the order that I've known them the longest. I've known Ashley for about 10 years.
Yeah.
Way before coffee was a thing.
Holy shit. 10 years. I can't believe it, man.
Yeah.
That's like back in, October, I celebrated 10 years of living in Pittsburgh, and I've known you since I pretty much moved to fucking Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
And here we are.
Yeah.
Fucking bananas.
Me and Ashley met each other because Ashley was a show promoter of sorts and heavy quotations.
Oh my God. So I came from Rochester, New York, and I was working at this place called the Penny Arcade. So when I moved to Pittsburgh, it was like, oh, cool. Like I can bring all my friends from like Rochester and like all these dumb hardcore bands like here. And then I tried to book a show at, what was it called? Garfield Artworks. Holy moly. Manny. So yeah, Brian helped me out with that and like helped me put together a little logo and stuff. And then I remember, what was that place called? Saddle Ridge or whatever that was in Station Square.
Yeah.
With all those terrible bars.
Uh-huh.
You played shows there and I come down and hang out and like we just were buds and it's been awesome ever since.
Yeah. So Black Forge is getting ready to open up their second location in McKees Rocks.
Yep.
I know that's been a bit of a journey for you,
Whew.
but you passed your health inspection today, so make some
I
noise
did.
for that.
Yeah,
So-
lots of things.
And, on top of that as well, you lighting tech, event planning, all of these things that you currently still do.
Yeah. It's been a whirlwind. I mean, I started the business plan for Black Forge 4 years ago and, have our awesome shop up in the Allentown neighborhood. I've seen pretty much every single person in that room there playing, being a part of it, drinking beer, like whatever it was. And you guys have all supported us. And like, here we all now in this room, like hanging out and we're all doing cool things and talking about literally the pursuit of fucking happiness.
Cool.
And I am like the happiest human being right now. So thank you.
Hey, I'm glad to hear that. So the thread of today's conversation with the both of you and everybody else is going to come up to follow. Oh, no. Has this not been on the whole time? Are you sure? Oh, no.
Oh, jeez.
5 years of podcasting, can't use a fucking microphone.
This is a live audience here. Who cares? They'll tell stories for decades to come.
So, perfect way to segue into today's theme. Responsibility is my theme for the conversation today. And that's a very vague umbrella word to put over everything. Oh, my Lord.
You want to swap?
Oh, my gosh. Maybe we should do that right now. Thanks. You're a pal. So, Ashley.
It's Marge Simpson.
With Black Forge, as a venue owner, what do you think is the right way to treat a performer and the audience and the people that come to the events at your space? Because this is a big thing with a lot of people that I talk to that are performers in the area or anywhere really in general. It's just like, oh, like that place is really cool or that place sucks.
Yeah.
Or, people there are rude, blah, 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 blah. So with Black Forge, what do you think is the responsibility of the venue to the performers?
That's a lot.
I know.
And that's a really awesome question. So with Black Forge, obviously, Black Forge is literally built off of my experience of being in the music industry and being an artist and doing all the things that I do. I've never gone to business school. I never made it big, never was professional in anything. I was a barista for 10 years in a light tech. And I literally saw in every venue that I've worked at, what could possibly be better? Because there's a lot of stuff going on. There's a lot of disrespect. There's a lot of not getting tribute to the people that deserve it. Artists just not being treated fairly when it comes to like pushing tickets and like all these bigger shows. And that's the nice thing about Black Forge is like we started out very small. We were able to be intimate with the artists that we work with. And it's literally providing an artist-friendly space. working with people, especially individuals who might not have money up front, you know, and like might need a little help, but they have this great idea and there's nowhere else to do something like that because it's too big, too small, like they don't do this, they don't do that, it's not all ages. So literally just being as artist friendly as possible and working with the people that you want to help, like being a DIY venue, a local venue, you are here for the artists in your community. You're here for your community. You are here to make sure the generation below us is looking up to something positive that they can see every day and be like, that's a really cool place. I'm glad I had that. Or that's a really cool show that I saw. Or that was a cool piece of art and I bought that and now I follow that artist. It's literally just trying to accommodate good people.
Yeah.
And you should always put that first and forward. Like, yes, we all have to make money. And yes, we all have to survive and like find new and creative ways. And it's super hard, believe me. Like, every day I'm thinking about like, what do I have to do? Because I'll be 100% honest, like the Allentown location, we do not make money off of shows. We don't. Like when someone pays a room rental fee, it goes to the staff that's working. Everything else is brought in by coffee sales. Not everyone drinks coffee, we get that, but that's like how we survive. And it's really
like
hard.
It's like a movie theater.
It's crazy. It's just like a movie theater. You have to buy the concessions. That's why it's $1 million to get a fucking bag of popcorn.
Yeah.
I should just start charging popcorn prices for coffee.
No.
Jeez. But, you know, that's the sacrifice I take, especially with my employees too, of just, you know, especially the new hires. I have a lot of new hires at our new location that are touring musicians. And I know for me, I never had time off at Mr. Smalls. I was there every single show. I had to be there for 3 years. And like I had to open up a crazy mocha store every morning. And it's just, I could never take time off. If I did, I would have lost my job. Instantly would have been replaced. And that's not possible at our location. Like I will never, ever fault anyone for creativity. And again, it's proven through that if you give your employees and you give people a space that they can be creative and continuously like thrive to do better, we work with you. And I know it's hard for bigger capacity venues because they're not in tune with the people that they hire. They're not in tune with every artist that comes in. And that's what's beautiful about owning your own space and like working with the people that you bring into your space. It's a community. It's a culture. You have to continuously promote that. And if you don't, you know, sucks to be you, bud. But like, that's why I'm here. That's why I'm trying to make a difference in my community. So,
Yeah.
thanks.
As Mario mentioned, you know, he started his event at your space.
That makes
I had-
me so happy.
I
You're
had
awesome.
Yeah.
Next
my-
week, you got
I
to
had
come out to
my-
Mario's.
Yeah.
My 3-year anniversary was at Black Forge.
Yep.
Actually, I think I played the first show at Black
You
Forge.
played the opening day of Black Forge motherfucking 1.
Yeah, that was fun.
Man.
Oh my gosh.
What is happening up here?
All kind of shit. It's because I'm really not supposed to be here. I might explain that later, but
Yeah. yeah. Mario's the he's a solid dude. Thank you for being here.
oh, thank
Even
you.
though you're
Thank you,
not supposed to
Mario,
be
for
here.
blessing
Thank
us
you.
Yeah.
all.
Now, on the flip, Ashley,
Yes.
what is the performer's responsibility
Oh,
in terms of
you really want to ask
being
that?
respectful to a venue?
There's a couple of things, you know. One, please promote yourself. If you are playing a venue, especially a local venue, it is our responsibility to put out there and promote for you, but we are not your band. We are not your art. You are 100% responsible to book your shows and promote the crap out of them. Because like that's the biggest thing. They're especially in our venue being so small, it's 49 capacity right now. I've seen bands just be like, I want to really book this show, great, and then you see nothing for months until 2 days before, and they complain to me that they can't pay a room rental and they can't do anything because the show didn't do well. I'm like, that's your own damn fault. I have your poster on the wall. We have it on our event space. And that's why we're here. We are just hosting you. That is your responsibility. So please, if you're doing something to promote yourself and you want people to show up to your shows, you want people to support your art, promote it. People want to see it. If they don't see you promoting it, why would they ever pay to go to it? You know? That's my biggest gripe. That's really it. Everything else, you know, like I've honestly never had many issues. Like, yeah, you know, people show up late, things happen. I get it. Life happens. But like, don't blame a venue and don't blame other people for not having people at your shows and your gigs. You got to do it. You got to push yourself out there, blow people up, text your parents, text your friends, whoever, because those are the people that are going to support you at the end of the day.
Absolutely. Sure. Yeah. You have anything you want to add there, Mario?
Yeah.
Please do.
No, I want to add, yeah, exactly everything she said. I mean, you know, I've been doing, like, be it a band or comedy or now this show, stuff since I was like 12 or 13. And I feel like I'm always selling somebody an event I'm doing, but you still have to do that. You know what I mean? And you got to learn how to cut your losses too. If no one shows up to your gig, that's fucking fine, but take care of the venue that brought you in, you know? Because, I mean, a lot of venues might do the opposite and rip you off if you bring in a lot of people. So, I mean, yeah, just fucking grow up.
Yeah.
You know, if you're going to step up to a venue and be like, hey, I want to do something in your place of business, fucking be serious about it, you know? You don't have to be like dead serious. You don't have to be like, y'all going to do this shit. Yeah. But no, just have some like respect for the whole thing, you know? It's a process, you know, and people got to learn.
Totally. So, you know, now that we've harped on performers, why don't we get one up here?
Yeah.
So coming up next is my friend who is a performer, a promoter, event organizer, does all kinds of interesting, real outside the box stuff. Make some noise for my buddy, Icky Vicky.
Woo!
Have a seat. Oh, I forgot to play your theme music. Hold on. It's always the same song. That's all you get. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good. Let's
Congrats
make sure.
on 5 years.
Thanks.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. Congrats on everything you've been doing.
Thank you.
Which is a lot.
Yeah. The most recent event that we did was the Love Dungeon.
Oh yeah, let's talk about that.
That was amazing.
That was at the Pinto Mansion, right?
Oh no, that was the Squidling Circus,
Oh,
and I was
okay.
running a clown sex dungeon, but that was like a house show.
I remember the sex word. That was
The clown sex dungeon. It was fantastic. I got to see this amazing circus troupe, Squidling Circus. My favorite person in the troupe was Mary Pussy Poppins, and she pulled 5 white doves out of her vagina.
Were they alive?
They were not alive, but you know they were sizable, and you could see they were like wet and everything. So it's just it was a beautiful time. Yeah, there were so many freaks there, and I just felt so at home with all my weirdos. Yeah, Ed Pinto, he really creates a space for creatives. He has this mansion, and it's a lot of the times just like an open house. So you can go and have a photo shoot. You can go and record there. There's the dungeon. He's usually in the kitchen making pierogies. Yeah, there was actually a dildo on a Sawzall. Just like a homemade device.
Surprise, surprise.
Yeah. No, I've had a lot of really wild events. Love Dungeon, we raised $600 for par.
Awesome.
And that was the second Love Dungeon that Spish has done. So I partnered with Spish. And initially it was supposed to be the dating game in a comedy show. And it turned into this whole nother world. It was almost like Spirit Hall was transformed that night. And yeah, it was really an amazing event. So many incredible people worked on it. Mercy Lemon played music. I had Dirty Socks Puppet Show, Faith McFluff, the Childlike Empress did a live cake sitting. I mean, no one else is really doing that sort of thing in Pittsburgh. So
what is cake sitting?
Cake sitting is a sexual fetish, and people really like to see women sitting on cakes, bouncing on them, like kind of smearing the icing around.
Is this different from Brazilian fart cake porn?
It is similar. It's in the same realm.
Okay.
For sure, yeah.
I can see it now.
Yeah, Tatiana, the childlike empress, literally had people eating the cake she was sitting on and commanded the room. There were so many amazing performers. Yeah, it was really great.
Yeah.
So maybe some of you have figured out why I asked Icky Vicky to be here. You do a lot of really cool outside the box events, and it's pretty much the extreme in terms of like event promoting in a lot of ways, because it's a lot. I mean, aside from all of the goofiness of it, there's just a lot of work that goes into putting those events together, regardless of how, like, you know, you can explain what's going on. We're all like, whoa, this sounds crazy, but there's still a ton of work that goes into it. So I'm curious about like what your experiences have been like working with venues, establishing relationships with venues to do these types of things that you're doing, cake sittings and the matter, you know, what is that like? What's that been like for you, and how are venues reacting to this stuff?
Well, when I first started, I like that the theme is responsibility. When I first started, I didn't really have a sense for that responsibility. I was playing with fire, but not getting permitting for it. So I would just sort of like dip if the cops came or somebody called it in, and I would just take off with my backpack and go. But then once I really started getting into planning events, the first thing that I did was the pie eating contest, and I worked with Glitterbox Theater because I knew that they were not only accessible, very, very accessible for people, but they are an inclusive space. So they will rent to anyone, and you don't have to deal with politics of, oh, I don't know you, like, what do you do, who are you, or you're not in my friend group, or, you know, just like sort of like the who's who. But Glitterbox was open to it, and we raised some money for the food bank. I like doing charity events, but I feel like once people saw the turnout for some of these initial events, venues would just see the past history that I have and just sort of roll with it. But people would really have a lot of questions and want to know. One of my acts that I do is smashing cinder blocks on my chest while I'm laying on a bed of nails. And so a lot of the venues sort of were like, well, who's responsible for this? Like, who's cleaning this up? What are you going to do? And I've definitely left pieces of cinder blocks around in my wake. And like, for that, I am sorry. I'm still learning. Like you said, never stop learning. But yeah, I had a lot of help along the way too. I worked with Red Fishbowl. I've worked with artist collectives around the city. I've done a little bit of work with Fourth River Music Collective. So I've gotten on events. I got to do an entire tour with one of my favorite bands and having like very little experience as a touring musician, because what I do is more a variety show.
Yeah.
But they just, you know, have known me for years, and they know I have the energy behind it. So they just sort of trust that I get really excited about these events that I'm doing. And then I am willing and able to put a lot of work into it. So I feel like just, you know, people seeing, and I'm active on social media, and I like making intriguing content, and it brings people out. So that's been a consistent thing for me too.
Yeah, you know, so like as a performer, you know, what do you think your responsibility is then to the audience?
To the audience, don't hurt anybody on accident. That's a really good for my act. I mean, I know typically with bands that's not even really a concern, but I like to forewarn them that what they're about to view is not art, and I'll make like car alarm sounds with my mouth, like, warning, this is not art. If you were expecting art, you're in the wrong place. And just, I don't know, I like to make the audience clap along with me just to get their attention and to keep people invested and not just like on their phones or at the bar.
The interesting thing is because, you do what you do. I mean, obviously you have events that you promote and book yourselves and you work with people that are in a similar lane, but you also play shows where you're way outside the box. And how do people react when they're definitely not expecting to come across you in their outing?
I've had a lot of different encounters, a lot of just strange looks. I like to keep, if I do the fish hook act, I'll keep the fish hooks in my face. If there's face floss in my face, I'll keep it around and try to talk to people. Because they kind of don't get it that it's like real self-mutilation happening right before your eyes and just don't really understand like why, or is it a trick? Like what's happening? I just try to also give a trigger warning before every act because you don't know, people got trauma out here. You don't know what people have been through. So you don't want to do something that's going to set somebody off, or like if you have self-harmed in your past and that's really not something that you're trying to watch, just letting people know as a trigger warning that like there will be blood. So, and then sometimes people just leave. Like I have a very good friend, Courtney Coco, and she says like, I love you, but I won't watch you do this. And she'll say like, I'm proud of you, sort of, but like, I don't want to watch,
Uh-huh.
So, some people definitely don't react well to it. Other people really get excited about it. I do a stapling act that is a classic sideshow act. It's called $100 Man. So you have people staple money to your body. And one of my favorite things about doing it is watching people who are utterly disgusted. When they see it starting to happen, they think it's foul. They don't want to do it. But then slowly, as more people start engaging with it, and you can see how much fun they're having, and they'll be like, "Oh yeah, I need to do that again and pull out some more money."
It becomes acceptable.
Yeah, and then it becomes delightful to them. So you get to see that disgust turn into like elation. And
I'm like curious about the type of like energy that's getting put out into the atmosphere and how that's reacting with other people's energy, if it's like overtaking them in some sort of like mystical way that I can't explain.
Yeah, I really like that sort of changing people's perspective about what's happening, because there are plenty of people who just think I am the weirdest person. They don't get Sideshow, or they're just not, they're just not into it. But I definitely have had people that did not want to hurt me and were, cringing, making audible noises of discomfort. And then they're the one who stapled my neck, and it's funny to me.
Uh-huh.
I get some personal satisfaction out of that.
It's funny mentioning, that, there are people that, think that what you're doing is like, like you're the weirdo, but in like a way, like if you broaden the scope a little bit, I think all of us in this like DIY underground scene are all kind of looked at as weirdos in one aspect or another. And like, why would you invest time into this? Why are you playing these DIY shows? Like, why are you still in a band? Why aren't you doing this and that? Like, why are you investing your time into this? Like, what are you getting out of it? And I think that if that's a question that you have to ask, then you obviously don't get it.
Yeah.
It's as simple as this. Day-to-day life can be pretty mundane. Like modern existence is pretty comfortable and mundane. So if you can do something to kind of like just something different. I mean, it could be doing a DIY, like hardcore punk metal show. It could be doing a comedy show. It could be eating cake off someone's ass. You got to give somebody you got to create some memories in this life, because I'm sorry, if your morning is Starbucks and your evening is, fucking a sandwich and you DVR'd Ellen, and I mean, I watch Ellen. Don't get me
I
wrong,
love
but
Ellen.
I want to fucking go see some shit too. You know what I mean? I want to enrich some kind of experience in life. I want to, go to bed at night and be like, hey, remember that shit?
Yeah, and
To myself, and I'd be like, yeah, I fucking remember that shit, dude. Like, yeah, that shit really fucking happened. Yeah, it did. Okay, I'm going to bed now.
So I
Cool.
think it's like, really important as a entertainer or a performer to make sure that like you're curating the people around you and your community and like letting people know about what's going on, whether it's through a podcast or a talk show or a music venue or through event promoting, or maybe you're somebody that wants to start your own record label. Conveniently enough, we have somebody here who started their own record label. Make some noise for my friend Connor Murray. Woo! Hold on. Don't sit yet.
Oh, yeah. That's kind of cool. It's like a little swagger. It's like I feel like an NFL player or something. It's cool. Thanks for having me. Is this one? Does this work?
It sounds like it's working.
Wow.
Connor Murray, Crafted Sounds.
Yep.
So, freshly 21, welcome.
Yeah, it's
Oh, boy.
wild. I'm still figuring out this game.
Wow.
I have like a busy day tomorrow, after this, my friend's turning 21, so like it will be rowdy. So I'm just going in slowly tonight. But yeah, thank you.
Tight. So, like, as I mentioned, you run Crafted Sounds, which is a label that is Pittsburgh operated. And it's not like you've just done a small handful of releases. There's been a lot of stuff that you've done. Can you give us just a quick background on the history and everything that's going on with it?
Shucks. Yeah, I mean, I'm not from here. I'm probably like the only Ravens fan in Pittsburgh. So shout out. I'm from like Annapolis area, but I say I'm from Baltimore. I'm proud. But yeah, you guys keep me humble. I wear my O shit because like we suck.
Yeah.
But yeah, I for the past 3 years, I came to Pitt to study. And I guess in high school I wanted to start a label. So because I sucked at music. I still don't know how to do that, like run a label. But yeah, came to Pitt, met a buddy, did a record with him, talked to people, went to house shows, because I couldn't really honestly go to a lot of venues or like see for the shows I wanted to see.
Yeah, you mentioned that this is the first time you've been here.
Yeah, I didn't even know this was here because I never thought of even coming here because I was like, why? There's only like two 21 plus venues that like I've been to like multiple times just by like.
We can keep that quiet.
Yeah, like it's like non-kosher, but like yeah, it's like it's hard, you know. But yeah, we've done records with I don't know, Short Fictions, The Zells, Silver Car Crash, Pat Zupel, now BB Guns, Flower Crown, some others not from Pittsburgh. I think at this point, like I have like a really good core group of people that like I like and I rock with. And at the same time, they like support other people and support art and like they're active in the community and stuff. Now I'm like looking to like get out more and, essentially I'm like looking for a network on the East Coast so that we can all do cool shit together. So
Yeah.
It's super cool to, take that time to, okay, I can't do music or I suck at it, whatever you said, but I still want to be involved, and realizing that you have a knack for business maybe or some sort of enough organization skills to, send some messages and get things produced that bands can sell. A lot of bands can't even do that for themselves.
Yeah,
a lot of labels can't do that for the bands on their labels. So
yeah, I'm like,
good job there.
I'm like anal as hell, but like within reason. Like I'm busy. All the busyness keeps me like free flowing. Like I'm down with whatever. But But yeah, I mean, I am in the business school, but I don't know. I've learned more doing this than any job has like ever taught me. I guess like when dealing with music, that's like you tap into a level of professionalism that's like unlike anything else because you're dealing with something that means so much to someone. You're not dealing with, I mean, sure, there's sometimes contracts and money or whatever, if any money, but yeah, like you're dealing with something that like we were talking about, like someone's happiness, like, and you're, you know, working with someone to put out something they've been wanting to do for so long. And like, you learn how to like, yeah, be responsible and like, take this shit seriously, because no matter how many people listen, you want to make sure that like you want to make it like is right for that person. So, and like that's my job, and like I'm here to do it as long as I want to do it because it's my label. But like, you know, as long as they're in for it, like I'm in for it too. So.
Totally. So you have a unique position here amongst everybody else at the table, where, you know, an artist can stand out to one of us and I can invite them to be on the podcast, and or somebody can ask Ashley, hey, can I book a show at your place? And it's one thing, or booking a show with Icky Vicky over here. But if somebody wants to put out an album, you know, that's not just like, oh yeah, sure, let's do it. You know what I mean? Like there's a very like curated thing that needs to be done, and that's a ton of responsibility. So I'm curious about like what makes an artist stand out to you, and like how do you curate talent?
I knew this question was coming. Yeah. At first, I mean, I was kind of down with whatever at first. I mean, I wanted artists to work with me. I had no credibility whatsoever. Not just, I mean, I'm not, every record I've worked with, I've loved. I mean, I wouldn't have put it out otherwise, but I think there was, you know, I didn't look at it as much beyond the music. I think what caters to, I guess, our brand, or what makes the Crafted Sounds band has really turned into like, okay, like, what do they like, how do they like treat people at their shows? Like, do they like stay the whole time, or like at least some of them? I mean, people got work. I get that.
Yeah.
Like, do you hang out? Like, do you ask the other band how they're doing? Like,
are you a part of the community?
Like, are you a person? Like, straight up, like, do you have a heart? So, like, if you're just like generally like a decent person, then like, and like, I mean, sure, like, and the music's already great, then like, I'm definitely already thinking about it right there. What I was saying earlier, like encouraging other people to like do what, like a lot of the time, I mean, we're so small here. I mean, I hate to say it, but a lot of our shows are like just other bands coming to support, you know, and like, I want to see like our bands going to support like each other. Like, that's awesome. You know, that's how we get stronger. That's how more people end up coming out, because they're like, oh yeah, I want to kick it with so-and-so. Like, they were fun to hang out with last time. Or like, yeah, like, you know, it's, you know, community is huge. And like, if you want to be a piece of that, like locally, that's cool. And like, now I'm looking to kind of like retrace roots in Baltimore now that I'm like old enough. But like, even remotely, like, it's crazy. I'm dealing with this one band right now. The guy like literally turned 30 last week, and I'm like, his birthday was like the day before mine. He's like, I'm like 9 years younger than him, like essentially managing him to a point. And I'm like assessing like what his like goals are within the next 1 to 2 years. Cause I mean, we're a release to release label. Like, I can't hold someone down. That's ridiculous. Yeah. I don't even have an LLC. I'm going to defend it with my parents. I haven't done my taxes before. Like, I'm not kidding. Like, I'm in so much debt. Like, don't even get me started. Like, so yeah, I'm looking at a lot. It's not as easy as it used to be, but yeah, as long as you're like cool with it. And like, I'm not like, I'm going to be honest too. Like, I'm not like going to blow someone off. Like, I definitely try to listen to everything. April's hard for me because like finals and stuff, but I try to get back to everybody for the most part.
You're here. Yeah. I appreciate that.
Yeah, shout out.
But you know, I think that we could make some noise. Good job. Yeah. But to your point, I think that people just going out and supporting their friends and other bands or whatever the event is, like, that's the simplest thing in the world that any of us can do. And there's all this like, what can we do to fix the music scene? God. What can we do? What can we do?
There are no answers, Brian.
Just go out to your friend's show. That's it. It's like, it's
yeah, and promote
simple.
Your show first.
It's simple enough.
That was like,
yeah, totally.
Promote the show. Jeez. like I get even more for like, I mean, sorry, like any of my bands, but like if I was a part of the booking process or like they share the show with me and I end up promoting it more than like, I mean, sure, like I'm the label, I'm there, but like I have like X amount of other bands to take care of. And like, I can't, if they get pissed at me for like barely like,
Totally. I bring up this a lot, but it's the pie chart of life.
Yeah.
And you have your 100%.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? How many things are on your plate, Connor?
How many things? I mean,
what do you think? Like how much, just if you were to put a number on it?
How many things?
A dozen? Two dozen?
So things label or life?
Just in general.
Probably like, 10.
10 things, right?
Yeah.
So
that's like fair.
If you have 100% as a person and you have 10 things,
yeah,
it's like, how do you split that up?
Nah, good game.
Do you give
I'm
everything
done,
10%? That's I'm not trying to bum you out, but it's like, what do you do?
No, it's hard. It's hard. I don't sleep a lot like during the school year.
But I think that moving into the next phase of this conversation, we've talked a lot about the individual and responsibility, but what about the importance of building a strong team? And Ashley, that's probably a good question to start with you being a business owner and having employees and such.
Oh yeah.
How does it all work? The behind the scenes of running a venue, and how important is your team to what you do?
They are my heart and soul. They are the foundation of what Black Forge is. Like, yeah, I might have, put in my time and been there every single day and built whatever this thing that I built. But here I am now about to open up a second venue, and I'm not in my shop. I'm not doing any of that. It is literally the 5 employees that I've had forever. I've had 2 for the last almost 3 years, and I have 3 new hires in the last year. And they have been there on point, making shit happen. And I am so fucking grateful for those people. And it's all about communication. It's all about trust. And it's all about showing one another that we are here together as a team. If someone has a problem, there's somebody that's going to help you. If you're sick, if, something happened, you're just not having a good day, guess what? Just talk about it. We're here for you, your family. And that's really what I've been promoting, especially now, like with the new shop, with all these people I've never met with my entire life. And I'm hiring them to run this baby, everything that I've put on my lifeline for. And it's all because I opened up and we talked, we did everything to show them that like, I'm here to trust you and you're here to trust me. And if you are good with communicating, then you can be a part of this. And if you have the same feelings and passions and love for just art and a good life and treating people the way you want to be treated, then you can be a part of this. And you have to show your team that. You have to show your team that, one, no bullshit, but also like, I'm here to be your friend. I know people say like, you can't be a friend and a boss. No, you fucking can. You definitely can, because that's what I am to my team. There's no way for a small business to just operate like a corporation, be like, nah, I'm just going to hire whoever, let them do what they want, and then one day I just feel like giving up on them. You're like, oh, you're fired, I'll just replace you. That's not how that works. Not a small business. So,
no, it's like
communication.
Communication's super important, and people want to be a part of something.
They do.
And making them feel included and letting them know that, you care about them as people and that you value their time, whether it's, they're an employee of yours or they're just somebody that is on an event with you or somebody that you're having out to a talk show or a band that you're putting out a label for. Like, I mentioned before with me and Mario, we started doing all this and it really wasn't even about the art itself. It was more about establishing those connections with other people and having a reason to keep being around each other. Just like, let's keep doing art together, even if it is completely ridiculous, goofy stuff, or if it's the most serious thing in the world. It's just about being around each other and spending that time productively.
Exactly. I mean, I'm still at the very early stages of this talk show, and I'm very comfortable not knowing everything I want. Once you really start establishing what you want, you start leaving less room for what the fuck's going to happen once the show starts. So I mean, I try and pick guests at this point that can be friendly and could be, carry a conversation. If not, like, I'll try to prod the conversation. But I haven't had any problems since. And I've had some where, there were people I know who were socially awkward, but the moment they sat down on the stage, you saw their shoulders go back, you saw their bodies relax, and then they start just having a good time. And I'm like, oh shit, okay, I'm on with this, But then I've also seen people a little tense, and you kind of have to just look at them and let them know, like, dude, it's okay, you're here.
Yeah.
Like, don't worry about them, I mean, worry about them, but still, like, stay, like, you're good. So, I mean, yeah, what I just said.
Yeah.
Communication is key.
Communication is key. And I think, we're talking a lot about how does a venue operate? How does a promoter operate? How does a label operate? But a lot of the time, we overlook how those things interact with each other in the teamwork of a promoter and a venue together. So.
Yeah, I feel like Pittsburgh is a sort of unique case. Like, we're a big, small town. So every artist that I work with, people that I'm friends with, I promote all their stuff. Like, I don't really see another person as being like, oh, well, our event's on the same day, I better hype up my promotion, or what. I'll still promote someone's event if it's happening on the same day, and just say, like, oh, you can't make it to this? Check this out. Like, maybe you're not on that side of town, don't want to cross a bridge. No, a lot of Pittsburgh people are like that. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, just like having a heart, and like, it is like a team. Everybody wins when everyone is doing well, so just like helping another person thrive can be as simple as saying, like, hey, I've noticed you've been doing a lot, like, good job, I'm proud of you. Or like going to the show, buying a cup of coffee and tipping the barista, like, and just knowing, like, oh, this is a friend of a friend, or like, everybody has mutuals, I feel like, in Pittsburgh. So I don't know. I feel like just operating in that way, you are going to end up being successful, because even if someone doesn't like what you're doing, there's plenty of people that are there and support and just see like the heart that you have and just wanting for other people to do well. Even if they don't come out and support, just at least sharing your flyer or putting one up in their window of their business, just like the little tiny things really makes a difference. In some other cities, maybe it's like a little more competitive, or there's a little more of that sort of cutthroat energy, but I don't really see that in Pittsburgh as much. And so it's easy to get along. Everybody that I do events with, I still just, I'll come out and support and do the sharing, hand out flyers. So, yeah.
With, you and putting events together and trying to target people, let's say, you know what I mean? Is there anything that you intentionally do to like target new audiences?
I am starting something now. So my act it is a novelty. What I really want to do is sing jazz. I have other things. I wanted to do comedy. I just recently went to an open mic. I went to one and did pretty well, and then the next one I went to, I got too drunk because they put me last, and I just bombed. It was really bad, but at least got the experience, But with the Sideshow, it sort of puts everything together to make a lane to have like the credibility to reach out and do other things. I just try to put little short videos out that are intriguing, to where my newest novelty is the Peep Show. It's a little standalone viewing booth that my good friend and partner, Joe, helped me make. His company is Wake Up Make Stuff. But it's a little contraption, and it's a tiny television set, an old tube with a tiny screen. Smash the screen out and put a little peephole, and people can look through it. And so I've been posting that little snippets, previews of it, kind of promoting that there are some surprise photos in that are not smut. It's just like for comedy. But I feel like a lot of what I've exploited the biases of people in the last year is like hypersexualizing the act, which it's not really like that every time, and that doesn't really encompass what I do. But it sure does make people want to come out when they aren't totally sure what's going to happen, or there's going to be nude people running around Spirit. Like one of the band members just halfway through the set said like, I need to get more comfortable, and just took their top off. And we were like, oh, this is nice, but not something you typically see at Spirit. But I feel like that's really what I've been doing over the last year. And I have a new act that is not, there's no sexuality in it at all, but it is sort of violent. And I think that people have a natural thirst for violence. And if you can watch somebody do something that's inherently violent and like participate in it somewhat, it just gets that, you kind of get it out of your system, and then you feel real chipper afterwards. And, you know, so that's something I'm sort of moving into with the ventriloquist dummy.
Okay, sick.
So my duo partner actually works at Black Forge, Marissa.
I love her so much.
She's amazing. She goes by Moody Millie, and she'll be piercing my lips with fish hooks. And I play the song on my banjo ukulele, and she moves my lips, but she sings the song.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And so it's not, I'm just sort of trying to phase that out, because I don't just want to do that, but that's definitely, I feel like Sideshow, part of Sideshow is just exploiting people's biases. Instagram is great, and like Facebook is great for promoting, because I can make weird videos, just strange promos, and it just gets people to wondering what exactly I'm going to be doing, because they know that it's definitely going to be strange.
Yeah.
Or something that you wouldn't see every day. And me and Marissa have been saying that the only escape from the dystopian nightmare that is reality is absurdity. Sort of like on the same speed what you were talking about earlier. So, yeah, I think just the absurd, exploiting people's biases, and of course, like boobs.
Boobs always win.
Boobs. So Connor, now with, running the label in terms of promotions and things like that, how has that been for you? Were you much of a social media person prior to starting up the label, or is this something that you're like all learning at the same time?
I messed up a lot, Brian. Like a lot. I still do. Yeah, well, at first you see all these people online, and you're like, your perception of like being a label is like, oh yeah, for us, it's like tape based. Yeah, like I said, we don't make money. And you're like, oh yeah, we can just like throw it on Bandcamp, people will buy it. No. Shout out to those kids in high school that bought a tape. I don't know why they did that, because I don't think any of them had a tape player. But anyway, yeah, so there's the social media thing, but then there's the whole like email a bunch of people, and then it's like, oh, that doesn't work. You have to actually write nice emails to people. So then there's that thing. And then there's like, oh, you should make a press kit, like a nice press kit. And then there's like, oh, well, then you should be promoting like everything the band's doing for the most part on top of like the release.
And
then you got to ride that record. You don't just let it drop the week after it comes out. Like, that's stupid, I think. And it's hard to do that, because the way like young people absorb music is so much different than like what generations like before us had done, where like I'm like, I guess, different than a lot of my peers in the sense like I like sitting down listening to the whole record. Or like, that's awesome. And I feel like now it's like, oh yeah, let me just add that to my playlist. Or that's cool. Like, there's so many different things as far as like promotion goes. And I hope that like everything we do to like that leads up to the record drop, like continues to a point. at least a full year. So that's thorough, and like the message is communicated, whatever that may be, whether it's from the band or, you know, what's behind the record, whether it comes from a place or not, you know. So yeah, I don't know what I'm doing.
I think the first thing that I said when I sat down was that I still don't really know what I'm doing either. But
I don't.
Nope.
it's fun to figure it out. Does anybody out there know what they're doing?
He starts grunting.
So now that all the serious stuff is out of the way, let's have some fun. Want to have some fun?
Always.
Yep.
Sure.
I've been having fun. Let's keep rolling. I'm really happy to be here.
So, you know, something that I really like talking to bands about is food. And, you know, the post-show ritual. Not everybody up here is in a band, so we can't necessarily make the question or answer the question in the same way, and I can't ask the same question. But I'm going to start with you, Connor. You live in Oakland, right?
Oh yeah.
So late night eats. Mad Mex or Fuel and Fuddle? What's your go-to?
If it's during the week, then I'll go to Fuel. Yeah, if it's between those two. Yeah. I mean, there's a bunch of different places that you just end up at. I'm not always proud of that, but, you know, we wake up the next day and it's good.
It's all good. Icky Vicky. Post-show, is there a place that you like to go to eat?
There's not a specific place that I go to eat, but there is an edible product that I use after almost every show, and I make it myself.
Of course you do. Let's talk
It's
about it.
called wound juice, and it is an amazing elixir. It's edible. It'll clear your insides, it'll clean your outsides, and it's basically just lemon juice. Lemons soaked in apple cider vinegar. It's the soaking is the important part.
Okay.
And then turmeric in tincture form. And you just dilute that with water, basically. But I'll take baths in it. I'll drink cups of it. Not the bath water, but you know what I mean. So I definitely
Thanks
use
for
it.
clarifying.
Yes. No, I
You
need
could
to
render
clarify
that
this.
down and make a good barbecue sauce. I'm just saying.
It's amazing. But I've been thinking about making it for my merch and having it in little bottles and having it say made for clowns by clowns. Yeah, wound juice.
Okay.
All right.
All right, Ashley. So there's been a show at the shop, closed down, time to go. Where are you eating?
I always call ahead for Fiore's. Always. Fiore's is always my after show, like long day
That's a
pizza.
heavy post-show thing.
Oh, it's so good. And then the next day, first thing in the morning, cold pizza.
Cold slice.
Oh, Fiore's is my favorite pizza, hands down in the city. But now, since I've been working at the Blackford shop in McKees Rocks for the last 8 months, it's been suds and subs.
Oh, yeah. I know that.
I've eaten a lot of sandwiches. But those are my two favorites right now, for sure.
Mario. Now, typically your events are catered.
Yeah, I cook for all my guests and staff and whoever else wants to eat. There's usually a lot left. I don't know how to measure pasta ethnically. I don't know how to do that.
The whole box.
So it's like, it's a matter of pounds, not people. So I'm like, yeah, 4 pounds of pasta broccoli would be okay.
I think I still have leftovers.
But I'll eat, just not to be rude to my guests, but earlier that day I probably ate it like 10 different times, tasting it as it's cooking. So but really, like post show, at this age, I'd just say a bowl of cereal. Yeah, I mean, you know, when I was Connor's age, it might have been India Garden or Mad Max at midnight, you know. But yeah, I just like, okay, well, I could get this and get that, but there's cereal at home, so I usually settle for that.
You know, I just had a thought. You know, me and Mario have done a lot of first things together. The first time I ever went to Mad Mex was with Mario.
That's
as
right.
well.
That's right. Yeah,
The first time I listened to, you made me listen to Faith No More a lot in school. You've made me go to Mad Mex. You've made me listen to Bjork. There's a lot of good things that you've brought into my life, Mario. Thank you.
Well, I mean, you had a really extensive, good black metal and death metal collection that I didn't have.
So I obviously needed some Bjork to.
Yeah, so
to
that
the yin and yang.
and I also needed some to actually. Oh wow, he actually has a copy, not like a burned CD of something, But yeah, I mean, that's what friends do. You trade music. It's just like any other dorky thing. It's you trade music. Hey, have you seen this? And Brian, I always remember, was one of the few people who I went to like junior high with, and I would see him at the same shows I was at. So we would see each other at school the next day and be like, oh yeah, fuck yeah, like Mudvayne last night was pretty dope. And
Man, you went to a Mudvayne show?
I went to a few
I've
Mudvayne.
never been to a Mudvayne show.
Really?
I've always wanted to.
I mean-
Never gone.
How many times did we see them? Like maybe 2 or 3.
Probably.
Yeah, and we've experienced things at concerts too, which I don't know if anybody's concert goes here, but it's always funny to see some crazy shit in a crowd, especially when you're young, because you're like, wow, adults, like, you're so stupid, aren't you? And it's like, you grow up and you're like, yeah. You remember we were at, was it 18 Visions, Lamb of God, and Mushroom Head? And they were playing some fucking grindcore band in between bands. And me and you were like, dude, what is this all about? And some guy just looked at us. He was like, dude, these guys are called Gut. And he pointed to his belly when he said Gut. You remember that? So like those are other little magical things that go along with it,
So yeah, I mean, like really, the point of all of this is that, it's about the memories that we make with each other. And regardless of who was there and what we did, just having a story to tell the next day. I mean, regardless of what happens with Crafted Sounds Connor, you can't take away all the labels that or albums that you've helped release and bands that you've helped out up to this point.
Oh yeah, no, that's
a lot.
That's there forever.
That's a lot.
Yeah. No, that's
And-
crazy.
Icky Vicky, I mean, all of the nails that you've laid on and the cinder blocks.
The
that
strangers
have
licking blood off of my face. It's just
even
all types of stuff.
You can't take any of those memories away.
Never.
And I mean, Ashley, like, how many shows have you been to in your life? How many?
So many.
How many lattes have you made for
Oh, God.
thirsty,
too many.
caffeine-deprived humans? How many shows have you helped facilitate? How many artists have you had in your space showcasing their work?
Exactly what you're saying literally gets me through every fucking day, is like all of those memories of all of those people that you helped in some sort of way and just had a moment with. Like, it's so fucking special. And you can't put that into words, man, besides just like, thanks. Just thanks.
It's super crazy, and I want to make a quick thanks to anybody that took the time to come out tonight.
Woo!
You could do better
Especially
than that.
guy.
Especially that
On one leg.
like I said, I've been doing this podcast for 5 years now. Sometimes I'm going through posting some hashtag Throwback Thursday stuff, and I'm like, I completely forgot that person was even a person, not in a rude way, but it's just
That's
one of those
pretty
things. The interesting thing with the podcast now, being 5 years in, is there's a lot of people that have been on the show, bands that have been on the show. They're not bands anymore. So like they're just not in the scene anymore. And like I was talking earlier about how the first time Ashley was on the show, you were one of the first people I had on my podcast. We did a whole hour and there wasn't even one mention of opening a coffee shop. It was before Black Forge was even a thing. It was just like I'm trying to figure out what I want to do with my life.
Yep.
And now you've been on the show a couple times since then, and it's like you're figuring it out. So it's not all just bands that have broken up. It's people that have like completely changed their life path and all of these different things.
And you
it's
were
really
a huge
cool.
part of that, man. So thank you.
Yeah, dude.
Oh boy.
Oh.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think my closing remarks to the four of you and the three of you out there is that I know I'm just being a turd. A CUNT is what I'm best at. If you want to do something, do it. If you can't do it, figure out what you got to do to make it happen. Nothing is impossible. The only person stopping you is yourself or maybe the negative people around you. Don't let negative people in your life and blah, 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 blah. I don't know. I'm probably going to do this for another 5 years, so I have no big speech to say right now. I just want to thank you all for coming out. Make some noise for my friends Connor Murray,
Woo!
Icky Vicky,
Woo!
Ashley Corts, Mario Fusca. Please check out everything that they're doing respectively. I'm not going to ask you to all plug all of your things. You have internet and you know how to work it. So that'll be it. And I guess I should do an outro, right? Hold on one second. Hold on. There it is. And that's all, folks. Thanks so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed the conversation. I hope you all walk away with a little bit more, responsibility in your life. I don't fucking know. I don't know what I'm doing. I'll be back again next week with another episode. Same time, same place, same channel. You know the drill. Sykes, start the beat. 2019. Woo! Thanks for listening. And please feel free to hang out for a little bit. If you don't know somebody, get to know them, establish some relationships, become friends with people, and that's it. Thank you, guys.